Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Bros Podcast, episode number 161. I am Brendan. UFC Fight Night, Santos vs. Hill, prelims. All right, if you're looking for the main card, including the main event, obviously, that is in the last video. This is just the prelims. We're going to cover Sam Alvey versus Oleksiejczuk, Brian Battle versus Sato, Miranda Granger versus Corey McKenna, and Stephanie Egger versus Brenda Silva. So there's only 4 fights on the prelims, but we're going to cover all those. Before we get started, real quick, if you like MMA, if you clicked on this to watch about the prelims and you made it this far through the intro, just subscribe to the channel because you'll know when my next video is coming out. I cover the UFC, Bellator, PFL. I do 2 or 3 videos a week covering all the fights, so I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. Let's get going. All right, Sam Alvey losing via TKO to Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. This one was kind of rough to watch a little bit, but, you know, Sam's tough as shit, and he just stayed in there, and he did a good job while he was in there as far as, you know, not quitting on himself, throwing back and doing what he needed to do. But Mikhail landed a huge left hand that put Sam down. Somehow Sam survived it, worked his way back up because he's so fucking tough, and, you know, took some more damage and then took another left hand and dropped down, and then Herb Dean stepped in and called it quits. So, I mean, we could look at the striking numbers here. 22 shots landed for Mikhail, only 2 shots for Sam, or 3 shots for Sam Alvey. Not a great round for him. Cool for Mikhail. You know, he's been an up and down fighter so far in the light heavyweight division. You know, he's not a bad fighter, but he is losing to guys who are a step up in competition. You know, well, that's 2019. I lost to Jimmy Crute and Dustin Jacoby recently. So, you know, he loses to guys with a little bit more skill. So maybe he can string together a couple big wins like this, but not that I would consider this a big win. And this is the real takeaway from this. Oh my God, there's so many of these. For those of you guys who aren't watching or just listening to this, take a look over at the video if you can. Sam Alvey has not won a fight since 2018. And he has fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times without a win. Okay? Now, he gets a lot of hate because of that. So before his 9, well, one of them's a no contest, but his 9-fight winless streak, he was a pretty good fighter. You know, he did all right at middleweight and, you know, knocking people out, doing what he was known for, smiling through the whole thing. And, well, you know, it was always fun knowing he was on the card. Then he lost a couple fights, and you're like, oh, okay, well. Then he got some decisions, and then he had these 2 really bad split decision losses, another split decision loss. It wasn't, none of this stuff was really good. And then he ends up, he just keeps losing. I think that's probably going to be it for Sam Alvey in the UFC. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, how can you justify keeping him on the roster? And I know, so, he gets a lot of hate because he's still on the roster over people who have been cut for less, you know, losing 2 fights in a row or losing 3 fights in a row. So I know that there's a lot of hate that gets directed towards Sam Alvey. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think it's his fault. I don't think he did anything wrong. You know, I think there's a reason why he's still around, and it's probably because he's always saying yes. You know, he's a company of a man as you could possibly get, and you know, he's probably not expensive to keep around either. To be honest with you, he probably doesn't cost that much money to pay to keep in there. Yeah, I know it's kind of like a melancholy type thing because he shouldn't be in the UFC anymore. He shouldn't. And if he's going to be in the UFC, you can't keep giving him these guys who are this skilled. You can't keep doing that stuff. All right, moving on. Let's go talk about some up-and-comers here. Specifically one, Brian Pooh Bear Battle here versus Takashi Sato. Dude, Battle knocked him the fuck out. Holy shit. Just this right high kick just landed right right on the chin and the neck and put Sato right the fuck out. Just put him out. Holy crap, that was rough. So, I don't even know like what to make of it because Brian Battle has, he's relatively new in his career. He's shown a lot of weaknesses. He's got a lot of skill. Obviously, he's got a lot of skills that he's working on and improving on. Why is it focused on my damn mic and not my face? Does it focus on this? There. Now focus on me. All right, whatever. It's fine. So, that's what I would go for here. When it comes to my takeaways for this one, what I'm gonna go with is I think he's got a lot of skill. He has a lot of talent. It's hard to know at this point because I've seen him get tagged. I've seen him, like, his chin isn't the best. He's fighting in the welterweight division, so there's lots of killers when he starts to move up in competition. And if he keeps getting, if you get a win like this, it's likely that they're going to step you up in competition after this. And, he's got the win over Urbina to get the Ultimate Fighter. And then Tresean Gore, he beat him. There was a lot of, back and forth before that fight. And Gore landed some really good shots and hurt Battle. And Battle didn't really hurt Gore. He just won the fight like he was supposed to. And then now he gets the knockout. So he is improving. And it's going to be interesting watching him going forward to see if he can make that leap to the next level. Because as of right now, if you just watch this fight, you'd be like, "Oh wow, he's making the leap. He's got the skill. He's working on it. He's gonna be something." But it's just one performance, so we have to wait. And I know that's a little lackluster, and it's not exactly the most fire take. But this is kind of the way it is, man. Like, what do you want? What do you want? This is his third fight in the UFC. And his previous two fights look totally different than this one. So if he continues on this track and continues to improve and look better every single time when he's out, then all right, I'll give it to him. But until then, let's pump the brakes on the greatness here and let's see what happens. All right. Corey McKenna taking on Miranda Granger. Not a bad fight. For McKenna, getting the win here via Von Flue choke in the second round. First round, she got a takedown, kind of controlled Miranda on the ground, did her damn thing. And, the wasn't the most exciting fight. And the second round, she got into the same position. Granger was going for a guillotine. She held on to it way too long, so she's got the guillotine on the left side here, and she's holding it. And then Corey went off, so her legs would be off to the side over here. So she's across the body, meaning that this choke that's holding the head in here when the body's off to the side isn't doing any, you're not in any danger. Like, it's uncomfortable, and especially if I squeeze real hard, it could be, kind of nasty as far as how it feels. But you're not getting a finish. You're not cutting off the circulation. You're not cutting off the oxygen to the brain. You're not going to do so much unless you hit like a nerve or something, that person's probably not going to tap to it. So you got to let them go, because if the other person is aware, now all of a sudden they can put pressure on my neck right here with their body and then lean into it with their shoulder and squeeze. And then that's how you get the Von Flue. And that's one of the few people in UFC history to land a Von Flue choke. Obviously, St. Preux has landed a few of them. It's cool to see. It's always cool to see a choke that doesn't land very often, or a submission that doesn't happen very often happen. So it is cool. And we'll see. Hopefully, dude, it's one of those things. It's the reason it doesn't happen very often. One, it takes a lot of circumstances and a lot of things that lead up to it. Obviously, the person has to go for a guillotine. You have to get the takedown, and then they have to hold on to the guillotine even when you move into side control. And then they have to continue to hold it as you apply pressure and then wait too long. So there's just a lot of things that build up to it. And then on top of that, even if you get all those things right, you might not be able to apply the pressure in the correct manner, so you're not going to get the choke. So the reason why it doesn't happen very often is the very specific set of circumstances that have to lead up to it. And then on top of that, all you have to do as the person on the bottom is stop any one of those things. And usually in the process, like, you're going to let go of the guillotine if you don't have control anymore. So that's going to do it. When they're trying to go for side control, you can keep them in half guard or full guard. And if you know that they've done a Von Flue and you're aware that that's a possibility, you can purposely avoid being in that position altogether and never go for the so there's a lot of things that they can do to prevent that from happening. It's not one that you can force, right? Like, you can force an arm triangle, you can force a regular triangle with your legs, you can force an arm bar, you can put someone in a position to force them to expose either their arm or their neck. You can force a leg lock, you can force a heel hook, you can force a rear naked choke. Like, all of these ones that happen relatively often, you can force your way into those positions by making your opponent defend against certain things, putting them in bad positions, taking a more advantageous position on the ground. The Von Flue doesn't really have any of that, right? It kind of just happens by accident. Someone goes for a guillotine, you get off the side control, and then you can apply pressure. So because of that, that's why it doesn't happen that often. And then if you know someone you can defend against it so easy just by getting rid of the frickin' guillotine. It's the easiest thing ever to defend against. That's why it's really rare, and I think it's super cool. So what I was going to say is, like, I hope that she learns from this to not hold on to guillotines when you don't have control of the body. All right, and then the opener, the prelims opener here, Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Stephanie Egger. It ended really weird. So on the feed, it was going however, like whatever. And then Egger gets a head toss takedown, like a headlock takedown, a head and hip toss. I forget what that's called. It's pretty much only happens in the female fights. I don't have to go on another tangent with this, but it only lands in the female fights. And then even when it does, if it works, it's rare. If it doesn't work, it usually means the person gets your back. So it's really weird. It's not a great toss in MMA. But anyway, she gets that, manages to stay on top and get good position on Silva, and then Silva attempts an armbar, and it gets in really deep, and then Silva lets go of the armbar, looks to the referee, Chris Tagnoni, and says, "Oh, she submitted. She tapped." But we couldn't see it. We couldn't see it on the replay from any angle. It must have been underneath. If she actually did tap, this is good sportsmanship from Silva, but Egger said she didn't tap. She was readjusting. And then one of the judges said they absolutely saw Egger tap. So I don't know. It's controversial. I don't like it. I don't like the way that this ended. I think it's kind of shitty, actually, for everyone involved, right? This sucks for Silva because now it's a less than legitimate win. For Egger, it's a loss on her record. For the referee, what is he supposed to do there? If they stop fighting and Silva says she's got, I mean, honestly, if I was the ref and I didn't see it and she didn't, like, that's on Silva. Egger could have just started punching again and continuing the fight. That's what I would have done if I was her. Although the referee stepped in there and separated him, so it's on him. And then this is a loss for everybody and also the fans. It just sucks for everyone. And because this was the first fight on the prelims, it's probably not going to get a ton of notoriety or headlines or coverage, and it's just going to be swept under the rug and nothing's ever going to happen. So it's unlikely that it's going to get overturned, but it sucks. It just sucks. Mayra Bueno Silva is really good, by the way. She has some really good striking. Her submission game, her ground game is very tight as well. The problem I have with her is always just her attitude while she's in there. She puts her hands up and talks shit the whole time while getting hit in the face. And then she's the same person who complains about, not when a decision didn't go her way. Oh, none of those shots hurt me. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. You got outstruck. You got outdamaged. That's the way the shit goes. So, that's why I don't appreciate her fighting style. Is if you talk shit while you're winning and you talk shit while you're losing, whatever, that's all fun. And especially when you're fun, like you have some fun with it, that's cool. But talking shit and then bitching about your opponent not damaging you as they're punching you in the face, just because they don't knock you out doesn't mean they don't win the fight. That's not how the scoring system works. That's not how this shit works. All right. That's all. There's only 4 fights on the prelims. Like I said, this is going to be a relatively quick one. Thank you guys for stopping by. It means a lot to me. I'm glad you guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for clicking on this, for watching through. If you made it this far into the video, subscribe to the channel. I put out 2 or 3 videos a week covering the UFC, Bellator, PFL. The playoffs are on now for the PFL, so I'll be covering all those, and I appreciate you. Did I say I appreciate you? Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Anyway, thank you guys so much for stopping by. If this is the only video that you watch this week, great. I mean, again, like I say every time, the weird flex, it's very strange to just watch about the prelims, but I appreciate you regardless. I appreciate it. Appreciate. Okay, I hate that word now. Thank you guys. It means a lot when you guys watch these videos. Seeing the view counts slowly going up and the channel slowly growing, it means that somebody out there is liking what I'm doing, and it means that I'm moving on the right track. So it means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you have an amazing week. Love y'all.